with that accent you just did, it sounded exactly like everyone from Haddonfield, apparently.
Wait, they had Boston accents in that movie? I don't even
Oh my
remember.
God. Did no one realize one of my notes is Haddonfield is this Haddonfield or in like New Jersey?
Welcome back to a bonus episode of Not a Strong Start, where we will cover This Is So Bad, a new segment called This Is So Bad, where we're going to dissect the new Halloween Ends movie.
This is a good movie to kind of introduce this new segment that we're going to be doing. So first, we're going to start it off with a fun fact, just to kind of lighten the mood a little bit. So in keeping with the tradition of tradition with Halloween, the 2018 and Halloween Kills, they used the opening fonts from the original 78 Halloween and Halloween 2, 1981. This one uses the same font as Season of the Witch. So they kind of kept that the same as the original 3. So that's a little fun fact.
I also made my own connection to season 3. I mean, not season 3, Season of the Witch, Halloween 3, because in Season of the Witch, you can actually see Halloween being played on the TV in the bar.
Mm-hmm.
In this movie, they're watching John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yeah.
And so they're acknowledging that John Carpenter exists in, like, it's so weird. I'm like, oh, that's kind of like Halloween 3. Because they're saying John Carpenter exists. And I'm like, wait, then they would know about Halloween. It's so weird.
Yeah.
So weird.
Multiverse.
But,
Yeah. Unless they go with the Last Action Hero. Remember that? Where they had the Terminator, but it was Sylvester Stallone instead of Arnold.
Yeah.
They went that way with
He was great.
I think we should start with the Halloween superfan, Marie. You probably have some opinions on this movie, so you want to start us off?
Hopefully some good ones.
Really? Do I need to share some good ones too? I have like one good one.
I said hopefully some good ones. No.
Yeah.
Okay. Fingers crossed. I actually knew I knew what this movie was about beforehand. I had someone months ago tell me, who knew what the storyline was going to be, tell me. So I really did not like Halloween Kills. So I wasn't expecting much from this movie. I wasn't excited for this movie. I didn't care about it happening. And so I knew that Corey was the thing. I knew that it was going to be focused on a different person and not Michael Myers. I knew that going into it. I tried to think with the font being Season of the Witch, that kind of made me excited, actually, because I was thinking like maybe this would be like displaced from the Michael Myers story, and that'd be okay. But it wasn't that, and it wasn't okay. If this movie was a standalone movie, or if this movie came out as the first one of the franchise and of this trilogy, and they took it in a different way, like how evil takes new shape and everything like that, and they want to have a different killer, it's all copycats, different stories, fine. Don't have Michael in it, don't have Laurie in it. I've said that from the beginning of this trilogy, that Laurie should not have been in this movie in the first place.
Michael was barely in it. I mean,
I know,
worse.
it's almost like it was worse. And what they did to Michael, this movie is a total disrespect to Halloween fans, to Michael Myers, and to the whole entire franchise. And it's like they didn't give a shit about the fans at all. It's like, I'm going to do whatever I want. I don't care if people hate it. Well, that sucks. That's shitty of you. And you don't deserve to remake The Exorcist. You don't.
Oh my God. Wait.
Who's remaking The Exorcist?
The director.
David Gordon Green.
Oh my God.
That's why everybody's like,
are you bad director? I'm sorry.
Let's get deeper into some of those like problems. So let's start with one of the main problems here, which is this franchise. This is supposed to be the end of like the Michael Myers story, the end of it, all that stuff. And we get maybe 5 minutes worth of Michael Myers in the entire movie, which I feel is one of the biggest problems in there. So like, what do you guys thought on that aspect?
I do want to quickly touch on what Marie said about if this movie would have come out earlier in this trilogy, that would be interesting, and you could salvage it in a way, is if you kind of revitalize Michael Myers by a copycat. That kind of inspires him in a way to overtake that. And now we have Michael Myers popping out for the rest of this trilogy. I can kind of chew on that, and I can kind of see how that storyline could work out. Doing it at the very end, that's where it's just like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck are you doing with this? And it seems like they don't even necessarily know what they were doing. And this Corey character, maybe they were trying to branch him off into doing, being like a threat later, but then they didn't. It's just, I don't know.
Especially, with how Michael Myers ended. I also heard that Mustafa Akkad, didn't he have it in the contract where Michael Myers can never die? Wasn't
Yeah,
that
it was
part of
after
the
the
deal?
second one, right? I think it was after the second one
So
or
if
something.
they make another one, are they gonna say that it was an ambulance driver that got thrown into the grind?
I mean,
I knew it was gonna be bad, and I'm the opposite of Marie. I didn't like 2018, and I actually liked Halloween Kills better than 2018, but I still knew that this movie was gonna be awful. And it solidified that when I saw the blue font, not even the font, the fact that it was font, it was the fact that it was fucking blue. Like
yeah.
it just looks so. I'm like, choose purple or fucking Halloween color, dude. Like they didn't. And then the pumpkins like exploding inside from like the pumpkins. Like I thought that was kind of cool, but it's still like I was just laughing at it. Like you guys were saying with it standing on its own. I remember I think like the first like 20 minutes of this movie, I was thinking, you know what? As its own movie, there were some things that I actually liked. I liked how they started off on like a new urban legend where that kid died. Oh my god.
Dude, that was awesome.
I started laughing, and that's a weird thing to laugh at. But
No,
that
I
was
laughed.
so impactful seeing that because he did a good job building that up. He did a
Yeah.
good job looking up that stairwell, making sure this audience saw up that stairwell, saw that fall, teased it, and then the end of that scene ending like that. It was fucking. I couldn't believe that was one of the most shocking scenes in a Halloween movie. But yeah, and then after 20, 25, 30 minutes, I was looking over at Augustino and we're just like, where the fuck is Michael Myers? What is this movie? And then it started getting awful. And then finally, I think Jose, you were asking the question about this being Michael Myers' end. It's not. It's just the end of this movie.
Yeah.
He'll be back. There'll be another movie. There'll be
They'll
another
respawn.
Halloween
They'll
movie.
respawn the
What is like
trilogy.
that's not like how they push it. Like this is the end of his, and then it's like him barely being in it. It's like they throw you like a birthday party, but then they bring you in after all the cake is gone and
Mhm.
everyone's played with your presents, and it's like, all right, come in for like the last bit of like your party. That's pretty much what this was. Is like he got sidelined and benched in his like goodbye. Like I get what you guys are saying if it was like a standalone or if it was like the first one, but then like bill it that way. Don't
Yeah.
bill it as like the
100%.
final one and the goodbye and all of that stuff.
Because I
shouldn't-
actually enjoyed the fact that there was another urban legend being,
Yeah.
set up in that town. I thought, I'm like, oh, that's an interesting concept. I kind of like what they're doing, and then I didn't like what they were doing, and it was awful.
Well, it shouldn't have even been marketed as a trilogy in the first place. They should have been an anthology. That if you wanted it to be true to like what John Carpenter originally wanted, it being an anthology, then it should have been marketed that way. That's why I was saying having Laurie Strode in it and her family and all of them. This is now a trilogy, so you can't go off course. And every single movie in this trilogy is completely disconnected from the other one. Not only like the feel of the movies, the editing style of the movies, the color palette of the movies, the acting of the movies, the storyline, how Michael Myers' personality and how he kills people is completely different in every movie. And I'm just like, okay, can I say one thing? In the opening credits, they always have the jack-o'-lantern, and I always feel like sometimes the jack-o'-lantern is explaining what the movie's going to be about in the opening credits of the Halloween movies. And in this one, the jack-o'-lantern is morphing to a different jack-o'-lantern all the time. So, and that plays in the whole story. It was like, oh, evil takes different shapes all the time. And at the end, it's a blank pumpkin. It spreads open with all the guts. And to me, I'm like, that blank pumpkin, that's Corey. And he's like this, oh, he's okay now, but then he's going to be torn up, and then he's going to be the new Michael Myers. And that's what you think he's going to be the new Michael Myers. But then it's like, oh no. Why do we care? Why are we building on this guy?
You mentioned something there that kind of brings me to like one of the second big problem that I got in the movie, and it's part of the inconsistency that they've had with Michael Myers in these three movies, is the fact like they made him weak as fuck. Like in this movie, like the power levels do not coincide. Like in the last movie, this guy had the town just kind of freaking gang beatdown with everything, even an iron, and he just got back up and he like just destroyed them and was like, "Oh, I'm good. I'm just missing some fingers." Blah blah blah. And in this one, he got wrestled down by the guy who was being bullied by a high school band. Like not even the football.
Oh my
team
God, the
And
or
he
the
was physically,
wrestlers.
dude, he
Like,
was physically bigger than them. I'm like, how are you getting bullied by this? Like, come
You're
on.
right. His strength from the last movie into this movie, they don't explain why he was in the sewer. And Marie, you're right when like how it shouldn't have been a trilogy. The first two movies I can see because they both take place on the same night.
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest things about this, why it was so bad, was the fact that it took place 4 years later, so there's automatically a disconnect. And honestly, they should have just had to pick up right where the last movie left off, just like this.
Yeah.
Just had all three movies take place on the same night. At least give us the same continuity. And
Mhm.
like, but Michael Myers, what the fuck was he doing in the sewers? Why is he in the sewers?
That's what I'm like, dude,
What?
is he living there? That's the only thing I can think of, maybe why he's weaker, because he's been living in the sewers for fucking 4 years eating rats. Like, I
Kill
don't
one
know
guy,
what
and
it
he's got
is.
it's like super soldier serum for him. All he has to do is kill one person, and all of a sudden he's
Yeah.
back to super
Oh
evil.
my
Like
God.
that's all
He's all
gotta do.
shaking as he's killing the guy. Oh God, when he was stabbing that guy, he's like, "Oh, my powers are regained."
Yeah,
I was like, fuck
yeah.
this. Fuck this movie. Fuck this so hard.
like a
I
video
hated
He
game.
that.
became Splinter of the Ninja Turtles in there training
Yeah.
people how to kill. Like it was so dumb. Like
Ugh.
I just honestly can't understand how this script and this concept could even get to that phase without people going, you know what, David Gordon Green, you might want to rethink this shit. It's awful. How could
Yeah.
anybody think? Like I was telling this to my friends last night. I said, you know what, they could have had a contest where fans could have done their own fan fiction.
Yeah.
And they could have chosen the worst one out of all that fan fiction, and it still would have been better than this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the fans wrote it. They know the mythology behind it. This, I'm like,
Yeah.
it clearly the guy doesn't know the mythology behind this. The only thing I remember him doing was Eastbound and Down, which I thought Eastbound and Down was good, and he did that good, but
Yeah.
that's comedy. This is
Yeah.
horror. So the fact that he's touching The Exorcist, I am so scared to see that. And I'm so pissed off that he's touching that. Like, don't even remake it, man.
I know, dude. I think he's gonna get shit canned from that. After this, you remember
I
what
hope
happened
so.
to Colin Trevorrow after
Yeah,
he
of
made the
course.
Book of David, right?
But
Was
then
that
they
the
brought him
movie?
back for
What's that?
Jurassic World or whatever it was. Remember?
Well,
They
I
brought
think it's
him.
because he contractually he had to, like he was the
Yeah.
executive producer for it. I think he had to. But this after this, I don't think they're gonna go forward with him doing The Exorcist.
I think just don't remake The Exorcist.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I agree.
Going back to that scene, like I would not have liked it, but I would have been more accepting if it was like, because they established on the last one, Laura even mentions like the more he kills, the more powerful he gets.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, maybe he hasn't killed in a while and he's weaker. And then they kind of hinted like that's the direction they were going to when he killed that first guy.
Mm-hmm.
But then afterwards, we see him struggling and get beat up by Corey, and it's like now you're not even going with your own concept in this. So like he had to get saved by Corey because he was cowering in a corner when the police officer was going to take him out. Like Michael Myers cowering in the corner. Like,
yeah, seeing him like in that in the shadows, I'm like, get up, Mikey, what the fuck are you doing? Like, and also why hasn't he been killing people for 4 years?
Yeah.
And apparently he has, because he's been dragging people into the sewer. Apparently,
and they had that billboard about the missing girls and all that. Like, I'm assuming he'd been murdering. So why is he still weak? Why is he still weak, Kevin? Why is he still weak?
Because David Gordon Green made this movie, and I knew from the beginning that it was going to be awful.
That whole scene was weird when Corey first goes in there and he grabs him by the neck.
Oh gosh.
And then you see the weird like cloud things in the eyes. I was like, what the fuck? Like, so what I got from this movie between that scene and then the scene at the house when Michael Myers goes to get his candle is that he's fucking like transferring evil back and forth. Like, here, borrow my evil, go kill some people, and then like, oh, I gotta get my evil back. Like,
can he read minds? Is he a Jedi? Like, what is he doing? He can say he saw like his pain that when he accidentally killed that kid, and then he's just like, oh, you're like me, and now I'll let you go. Go bring me more people to kill. It's just like, dude.
That's what I was saying. Sorry, you can go.
I was gonna say that's what I thought it was. Like at first I was like they're painting that he saw evil, so he was like, go ahead. But I don't think that's what they're going for because again, in the house scene, when Corey is pretty much dying, he grabs him by the neck and they film it in a way that it looks like he's pulling the evil back into himself. And you see him like staring into his eyes, and like Corey starts like freaking out. It's like he's pulling it out. So it almost seemed like he lent him the evil for like half the movie.
Sort of like in Thor, remember Love and Thunder or whatever it is? You know how he gives the power to the little kids?
Yeah.
It reminded me of that.
Yeah, he just Shazammed the shit out of this. Like he just like gave him his
Teenage Mutant Ninja Evil. Like,
Marie?
that's
You
what
got
I got.
something?
The best part of the movie for me is when our burritos got delivered here. That was literally the best part of the movie here for me. And it was weird because you guys know Agostino. You know how we just love ripping on shit. We literally sat in silence and we just kept looking at each other. Like he just couldn't talk. He was just sitting there just waiting for the movie to be over. And then it would not end because it had like fucking 47 endings. It just would not stop.
Like, hey, it's called Halloween Ends. End the fucking movie. Like end it. It wouldn't end.
I will say that that end when they were we obviously were doing spoilers when they're fucking parading him across town. I thought that was kind of funny. I don't know why. Like I liked it, but when
ridiculous.
they
It's so
brought him to the
stupid.
grinder in the fucking the junkyard, and then you just see his body just go like when it gets sucked down.
But here's the thing,
Dude, I was out of
kids
breath
there.
from laughing. I was out of breath from laughing
They
when Michael Myers got sucked down in that grinder.
Parents brought kids and they just sat there and the kids are sitting there watching this body getting mutilated. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Like,
they should have thrown in every copy of the movie inside that grinder too. Like, all right, we don't need this. Just throw that. Well, one of the scenes I think that in the moment automatically frustrated me, and it's right after. So she just kills Corey, slices his his neck, and then Allison walks in, and that scene annoyed me so much because like Allison like freaks out and she's like, "What did you do? What did?" Completely ignoring that he's dressed like Michael Myers and the fucking mask is there in her mother's house. And then so she's like ignoring that completely. And then Laurie, who overall I feel wasn't bad in this movie. I preferred this over the paranoid version that we had in the other movies. So I preferred this version better. But even her in that moment, instead of being like, yeah, this motherfucker came in my house and I killed him because he tried to kill me, she's just like, I was like, explain yourself. Like,
I can't have her. You can't have her either. Like, who
so
the fuck
stupid.
is that?
Who fucking wrote
but
that?
I just had a new theory now.
Huh.
And it goes along with what I was saying with Mustafa Akkad saying that Michael Myers can never die. Did he have the mask on when they threw him in the grinder?
No, it's in Laurie's house. It shows the mask there.
No, what I'm saying is at the end when they threw him in the grinder, did he have the mask on?
No, because at the very last scene, it shows it sitting on Laurie's table.
Oh, really?
So
because I thought I was gonna say what like just like in Halloween H2O and Resurrection where you just switched the bodies and they were parading around Corey and throwing him down there and Michael Myers is still alive running around. But I was gonna say I'd have to rewatch it, but I cannot. And I will say I think I was telling you this, Jose, when Michael Myers and Corey killed that kid in the sewer, right? And then like, oh my God, they're like a team. And then immediately they show Corey speeding down the highway on his bike and it was going a close up. I'm like, I was waiting for Michael Myers to be behind him, holding on to him. I'm like,
me and my brother
I totally thought that was going to happen.
I did too. We're like, dude, can you imagine if you just see man hands and it's Michael Myers and the hair just flowing?
The memes are made. The memes are already made. I've seen that meme already.
Oh, really? That's exactly what I thought.
Dang,
but what was I gonna say? Another thing with continuity. 4 years later, and then the kid steals Michael Myers' mask. His hair didn't fucking grow at all. It seemed like it did not grow at all. I think it like I saw the silhouette. I'm like, bro. I'm like, what's he doing in there? Like, does he have a hair barber come down the sewer and give him a fresh cut? So dumb.
And then you
Oh,
see
so there's some-
you see Lori just like holding his hand as she's killing him and dying, and like just the hand holding. Like, what the
Oh
fuck?
God, so lame. Like, I was furious. That whole scene where he's like looking into Corey's eyes, and it's I was thinking, okay, so Michael Myers is supernatural. He's putting his powers into this kid, or is Michael Myers are they humanizing him because he can see the pain that this kid's going through, or that he's like, is he having sympathy or pity on this kid? That means they're humanizing Michael Myers, which I hate. Or is he have magical powers? He's putting his evilness and his killing abilities into this kid, which I also hate. That's where I paused it. I got up and walked away, and I was like, I need to make a drink. I need to breathe. I'm like, I almost wanted to turn it off. Like, I cannot do this, but I did. And guys, you know, the ending where they're parading him around, I said, even though it's Michael Myers, he's killed so many people, I was like, this is barbaric. Like, these are supposed to be the humans, and they're taking this dead body and parading him around the town. And weren't they just saying in Halloween Kills that, oh God, we have mob mentality, that you're the monsters? Well, what are they fucking doing here? This is mob mentality. They're putting him on the car, and they're gonna go all watch, like, basically like a hanging that they used to do back in the day, like, or bring people to like see like electrocution deaths. Like, this is what they're doing. I think Michael Myers should have grabbed Lori and dragged her into the grinder with him. That would have been
that would've been
together
good.
as one.
Holding hands.
They made the
holding
town
hands.
suck. Yeah, this town as a whole sucked. I mean, you look at the whole movie; they're all just going after the daughter, going after Lori. So it's like you said, parading this body at the end. The town itself just sucks. The people in it are just like terrible people.
In Halloween Kills, they all came together as one. Evil Dies Tonight, they're all like together, and they all have the same goal, and now they're all like hating each other and evil again, and they're all mad 4 years later, and they're like, oh, actually no, we forgot. Fuck you guys. Everyone's an asshole in that town. Fuck Haddonfield.
They deserve
Burn
to
it to the
die
ground, as they say.
First of all, that didn't even feel like
he was the hero.
That didn't even feel like the same town. Like, even film location wise, it felt like they went to a completely different part of the country and filmed it. But yeah, I'm with you, Marie. There was this point of no return in the movie where I was just like, there's no saving this. I got the whiskey, and we were just gonna like, let's see how awful this can actually get. And so we just kept on drinking. I was drunk last night watching this movie. I
Did
feel
it make
like
it better or worse?
Well, I was laughing more. I was definitely laughing. I could, like, it gets to a point where I gotta let my anger stop, and then I just start laughing at how ridiculous it is.
Yeah.
Like, I still flabbergasted on how they thought that this was going to be a good move.
And I could not stand the Corey character. I don't know if it was the actor, the way that they wrote him. It was just, I couldn't stand the fucking kid.
At first, I liked him. At first, I kind of liked what they were doing, and I'm like, okay, like, here's this kid, here's this babysitter who accidentally murdered a kid on Halloween night, and like, so you automatically have a sympathy. You know, it was an accident. You know, he's scared. He's trying to get out of the, and so I'm like, I wonder is he gonna have some type of redemption? No, no, they didn't. They just made him worse. They made him worse. And I could not stop laughing. And he definitely had a punchable face. Like, I could not look at his face and not want to punch it after a while. And I'm sure a lot of people feel the same way about me, and that's fine. I'll take that. But at least I'm not fucking trying to be Michael Myers.
But right now, we're not talking about Kevin. Right now, we're talking about Corey.
How come only bad shit happens in the sewers? How come, like, can we have some fun shit happen in the sewers for once? So you got it, and you got Michael Myers. I'm like,
the Turtles
good
have
happen
fun.
in the sewers.
Oh, the turtles are fun.
Yeah, but we haven't had a Turtles movie in a long time.
I think the point that completely put me over the edge was when he gets his mask stolen by Corey, and he's just lying there, and then he does his Michael Myers like lift up. I'm like, no, it's too fucking late. You got punked. Don't get up all badass like you are. Like that, you lost that right to get up that way. You roll over and you crawl up like the weak ass person that you are right now.
What was the moment in the movie that solidified your hatred for this movie?
I know.
Murray, what was it?
It was when Lori said something about showing Grief your tits, and she threw the guts of the pumpkin on the ground. I was like, what the fuck is this? And this editing is so bad. The editing is so bad. It's like, are you trying to be Edgar Wright with the quick shots and like the quick zooms? It's like this. I hated that scene.
From the very first opening of the very first movie, 2018, I had the same exact thoughts, Marie. I knew that this director was bad, but for me, I would say that the moment was the sewer when they revealed that Michael Myers is now training this kid.
God.
Time stopped, and me and Augustino slowly looked at each other, just like, what the fuck is happening? No way. That's when I knew that was the point of no return. That's when I got
that was a jump in the shark moment. I hated when Corey got punked by the high schoolers. I was like, this is so fucking stupid. It's unbelievable.
High school band.
High school.
Yes.
Don't forget the band.
Yes. And
don't forget your drumsticks everywhere you go.
He's physically imposing over these kids. Like, what are we talking about? That's when I knew this is such shit. And that's when I really did not like the Corey character. The opening scene, sure, I totally get that. When you saw that, I was like, it's not believable. It didn't feel believable at all. That's when I started losing it. I was like, this movie's shit. And then yes, the tits line, I laughed, but I was like, the dialogue the dialogue was so atrocious at that moment. But the sewer scene, I was like, the jump in the shark moment, this is a piece of shit. I was like, this is gonna be so hard to get through.
I was legit waiting for a musical montage of Michael training him. I
would have been better.
I was like, this is gonna happen. I think it might happen. It's so bad. This could happen. And I'm shocked it didn't happen.
Just stabbing.
Yeah, just like. And like head tilts or practicing head tilts. No. A little this way. Like
getting up. Like the
working on his core.
Yeah, his core.
It's all about the core.
Core strength.
Get your core ready, Corey.
Killing that girl from the hospital at that mansion at that rich guy's house. He's at the sliding glass door. Just like that was just so fucking awful.
What? Why was he doing that?
No, we don't know. Because it was bad.
The kills were bad in this one. The kills were not good. They weren't. There weren't fun kills.
I like that blowtorch kill was my favorite.
The blowtorch one was tight, but they didn't show us though. They didn't really show us. They like barely showed it. It was like, dude, show it to me. I wanted to see it.
Ooh, yeah.
I wanted to see it.
Yeah, and I do like the DJ Dev, the fact he cut his tongue, and it's like it keeps the record playing. So
I thought that kill was cool.
Yeah, that kill was pretty cool.
That was silly.
The greatest kill was the franchise. I mean, like honestly, you got to give him props for taking this franchise that's been around since 1978 and just giving it one of the worst movies ever made. I mean, like at some point you got to respect that this is probably one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Right up next to remember that other movie we watched that Colin Trevorrow made after Jurassic World? The Book of Henry.
God,
yeah,
the Book of Henry.
This is like right up there with that. Like, how can like you see this and think it's a good movie? Like, it was annoying to watch.
It is. I still have to put Book of Henry just because of what was wrong with it was aggravating. This stuff was aggravating too, but only because we're fanboys and fangirls on this. That's why it's upsetting us. The way the movie is made itself, it's still bad. But it's not made horrendously bad, if that makes sense. They're just making so many bad character choices is what the issue is, where we're getting defensive around it. Book of Henry was made so poorly. And us as filmmakers, we're getting pissed off watching that piece of shit where it's like, that guy's not touching Jurassic Park and don't put him on fucking Star Wars. Like, fuck that shit.
I agree with you, Dan. I think this movie, if you remove the title, if you would have something else, if you would have had some other entity that's not Michael Myers in there and present the same movie, not that it would be a great movie, but it would not be as bad. What makes this bad is the decisions they made compared to the franchise and what they did to the character. That's what makes it bad.
Yeah.
I was gonna watch Halloween H2O afterwards, just like cleanse my palate for this movie. and I couldn't put it on because I'm like, I can't look at you guys. I can't look at you. It's too soon. Like I can't look at them because I can disassociate this trilogy from my trilogy or my Halloween because I had to do that with Star Wars. Yeah. So I can do that, but I think there's some people out there now who will not be able to look at Michael Myers the same or the whole franchise the same because they did him dirty. They did us dirty. Come on now.
They did.
We deserve better than that.
Now I feel we could probably rant for like another hour on how bad this
Mhm.
movie
Yeah.
is. So we're gonna close it out with the hard part. Everyone give one positive for this bad movie. Let's start it off with you, Dan.
The opening scene. The opening scene actually wasn't bad. It was kind of creepy when you saw the kid fall. That's it. That's all I can give you. The only thing I liked that I was like, that's pretty good.
The only thing I enjoyed was the blowtorch in the mouth and also
Mm.
the way the DJ died. Those are the only two things I liked. Oh, and there's one quote that the father makes of the kid who died in the beginning, and they're in the pool hall, and he says something how he would see other people getting mad at Corey, and he was like, they took my grief and they were using it as their own. And I thought that people do that all the time, and like people do that online, and people do that all the time, where they take other people's pain and sorrow, and they're like, oh, this is so horrible. It's like, no, like it's the dad's kid, like let him have this. So I literally like that line and those two deaths. That's it. That's all.
Kevin?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with what Dan said. That was literally my only thought. Even with the last two movies, like everybody has their own gripes with them, but there are things in those movies that are good. There are good
Yeah.
sequences in both of those movies. This one, it's just literally that opening scene. And more for the concept wise, I thought it was kind of cool to take a new concept, like build it into the franchise, but with the way that they dropped the ball after that scene, and it was just really bad. But I thought that was so interesting to have an opening kill where it's a complete and total accident and it completely destroys this one person's life. It's a Michael Myers aspect of it. I'm like, oh, what if it was somebody who did it, but they didn't mean to, and now all of a sudden they're this monster in the town, and I'm like, that's really incredibly interesting, but they didn't do anything with it. It was just so bad, and then they made him the new killer. It's just like, oh, they're not even going to give him a chance of redemption. So yeah, that opening scene I thought it was really good. I thought even I don't like that director's style. I thought he did a good job setting up that scene, looking up, like the mom looking up and seeing that long drop. Then at the end of the scene, that's how the kid dies. And it was, I mean, like my jaw hit the floor when I saw that. It was so impactful, no pun intended, but it was so impactful when that happened.
It was
Yeah.
pun intended. Don't lie, Kevin.
I didn't even mean to. That just came out. I'm like,
No.
oh, impactful. But yeah, impactful. That was fucked up. That was one. I will arguably say that is one of the most fucked up things that's happened in the Halloween franchise. All of it.
And then, not to sound redundant, but I guess in a movie like this, there isn't too many positives to pull from. But mine would have been the first scene also. It started off so strong. The fact that they build it out where it's appeared that it was going to be Michael Myers, you know, with the door opening, the knife disappearing off the counter, the knife being found in there. It was like, okay, Michael Myers is in the house. You know, it brought you back to all the other Michael Myers movies, and you're like, all right, I know I've seen this. I'm familiar with it. So yeah, when the splat like hit, I was like, I literally, when I did one of these, I was like, holy shit, I did not expect that. And I was like, if we get more of this, like this movie's on a good start. And that's where it stopped. But you guys all described the rest of it already. But yeah.
Real quick, because now I'm just thinking about it. I can't think consciously throughout the movie. Did they even use the score?
They use it at the very end. I thought
they used
that
it
too.
just at the end, right?
Yeah, I noticed it too. I was about maybe 20 minutes left in the movie. I was like, dude, I don't think they used it. And then at the very end, they used it.
Also, Michael died with like a slow slit to the throat. Come on. And like a slow slit to the wrist. Like that's how he's gonna die.
The wrist, like,
Just like this.
why did you have to do the wrist too? Like, it's so stupid. Like, just to double up on it. I mean,
I
bleed,
guess.
bleed faster.
that's so stupid.
She went straight for all the big veins.
And then just hand holding, just holding his hand as he was bleeding out. Like, why?
Because the director's bad. Like, have we not covered this, Dan? I think it goes into this ego where they can do it, like they had Jamie Lee Curtis, and you know what, even something's bad, people still promote it as the greatest thing ever, and that's starting to catch up with them. That like you can't polish a piece of shit, and if you glorify it enough, it's gonna make it even worse. You know, and that's basically what they did.
One thing that has me curious, I mean, it could have all ended exactly the same, but I'm wondering if the story that was told here, if it was affected and changed, because originally
Mhm.
The second one and the third one was supposed to film back to back, and then the
Mhm.
pandemic messed that up and it caused a delay. So I do wonder how much did that change, because originally both 2 and 3 was supposed to be the same night. Originally,
That's what I
so
would
it's
have
like,
preferred.
so it's like I wonder what would the story have been if the pandemic didn't alter this track? Would we have gotten something better, or would it have been the same like turd?
But then,
Well, I mean, he had more time to think about it, so
yeah, that's what
it's
I was
even
gonna say.
better.
Like, why should it ultimately change the storyline that much just because you couldn't
Mhm.
film it right away?
Like when I watched it at first, it finished. I was like, "Hey, I don't like this," but then as like time went on, like I really started to hate it. So it's like I had the delay effect. So it reminded me like when you get like a cut or something, and at first it's like ow, but you don't, and you kind of keep doing what you're doing, and then you like see the blood, and then all of a sudden like it starts hurting
It
like
starts
a
getting
lot.
annoying. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like it stabbed you, this movie, and you're like, oh, like that was kind of painful, and then you start gushing blood, and it's like that really fucking hurts.
It hurts
Or
so
even a bad
bad.
haircut. You get a bad
Yeah.
haircut, you think I can make it work. You go home,
Yeah.
take a shower, you gel it, you're like, nah, this is worse. I fucking hate this shit. Thank you guys for watching another bonus episode of Not a Strong Start. Please like, comment, subscribe, everything. Follow us at YouTube and Not a Strong Start. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Not a Strong Start. You can listen to us and stream us on anywhere you get your podcast. I'm your host. It should have ended. King_Sangre.
You killed Halloween, you bastards. This is mi nombre.
And I'm hashtag not my Michael Myers at Marie Reviews Everything.
Make a trend.
And I am Kevin Lyons, who will not have any name associated with this movie, at Twin Pines Video on Instagram. And I think all the other social media, I don't check those. But yeah, on Instagram at Twin Pines Video.
Yes. Now this will be the last time we ever say Halloween ends ever again.